Okay. Okay. We are reconvening back to our public session. At this time, I would like to have roll call. Imelda, would you please do roll call for us?
Trustee Ibaldi,
Here.
Trustee Young,
Present.
Trustee Fox,
Present.
Vice President Gardner,
Present.
and President Gross.
Present. Thank you. At this time, we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance. For those who can, please stand and repeat after me. Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, report of action taken in closed session. We received information regarding our labor negotiations. We also received information regarding property negotiations, and we acted upon anticipated litigation. We voted to deny claim number 2108800 by a vote of 5-0. And that's my report from closed session. Next, adoption of board agenda. Can I get a motion, please?
I'll move to adopt the previous agenda. Or
Yes,
this agenda.
There's a second?
I second, Mr. President.
It's been moved and seconded that the adoption of board agenda. Vote, please. A roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ibaldi,
Aye.
Trustee Young,
Aye.
Trustee Fox,
Aye.
Vice President Gardner,
Aye.
President Gross.
Aye. Thank you again. Next, we have recognition and presentations. So, our superintendent.
We do not have any recognition or presentations at this time. Thank you, President Gross.
Oh, okay. Next to our forum, then, any to Ms. Thomas or Melda, I'm not sure who has them now. Any message, any memos from BEA or CSCA or VSMA?
There are none, sir.
Oh, wow. I guess with the break, people have decided to break. Any reports from our district advisory committees?
None either.
No reports?
No reports, sir.
Wow, I'm getting scared. Now, then lastly, any messages from our community members?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Then we're moving on to consent items. Consent items A through I. Can I get a motion to accept those items?
Mr. President, if there's no one pulling out any consent item, I'd be happy to move that we adopt consent items A through I.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and second to accept consent items 7A through 7I. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ibaldi,
Aye.
Trustee Young,
Aye.
Trustee Fox,
Aye.
Vice President Gardner,
Aye.
and President Gross.
Aye. So it's been, our consent items have been properly motioned and second. Next is action items. We have resolution 3012, and I think Rosa Losa is going to do a presentation. Am I correct?
I believe she's going to orient the board as to what this item is and then seek a vote on this resolution.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, Superintendent Spalding, Board of Trustees. I'm sorry, I'm having issues with my computer. Rhonda, can you slide down a little bit the agenda item? So I can see, is it constitutional advance?
Yes, hold on one moment.
Yes, thank you, Rhonda. Good afternoon, Board of Trustees, Mr. Superintendent Spalding, community members. I'm presenting to you an action item. This is a constitutional advance for the year 22-23. This is a asking for your authorization. The district is requesting for you to authorize request to advance from our apportionment from the 2023 year. This is a loan to cover shortages of cash, and so we can provide the necessary cash resources to the operations of the fiscal year, and we will pay this back when receive the apportionment in the month of December of 2022. This is something that you have been presented in the past, and so you are presented again this year, so make sure that we get that advancement of money to continue operations.
Okay. Thank you, Rosa. Are there any questions from fellow trustees?
I do have
No.
a question, President.
Yeah.
Gross.
Oh, okay. I see two. Okay. Dr. Baldwin, go ahead. And then Trustee Fox is next. Go ahead, Dr. Baldwin.
Historically, Rosa, how much of this do we use? How much do we, where are we able to get the money to pay it back?
Historically, districts are allowed to borrow up to 85% of their property taxes revenue prior to the upcoming year. And this is just to support the operations. The County Office of Education provides a list to all of the districts with the constitutional advance or loan that we can do request to them. And it cannot be over or above the 85% of the property taxes that are estimated to come in the year, in the upcoming year, in this case for the year 2023.
Mhm. So we do use it then?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, thank you. Appreciate that very much.
You're very welcome, sir.
Okay. Trustee Fox, go ahead.
That was part of my question. So Rosa, I thought it was there just as needed if we did need it. So it was like a backup plan so that our funding wouldn't run out until we did get the funding available. So we do for sure use it. I thought it was there just as a backup.
We use it on a regular basis. This balance out at operations. Sometimes you use more than other times, but we always have the ability to continue the operations based on this loan, which is kind of a cash loan from our tax revenue for the upcoming year.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay, Dr. Young, go ahead.
Rosa, I see on here that there's an interest rate. What is the interest rate?
It's a very minimum rate, and this is a negative rate, meaning that the interest that our apportionments made when we have the money on the treasurers is paid back from there. So that means if we earn at a 1%, that will be taken from that particular interest earned.
How much?
It's less, I believe, I do not know exactly the rate, but it's lesser than 2%, I believe. I'm sorry if I don't have that information for you, but I can definitely follow up on it.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions? Rosa, I just have one. How much of that money has already been encumbered? Let me put it this way. What percentage of that money has already been encumbered?
None of the money has been encumbered. This is something that is a planning for the upcoming year, 22-23.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Young?
So where does the money come from that we pay them back from?
This is an advancement of our tax revenue, of our property tax revenue that is coming to us in the 22-23 year, the school year. It's a loan from an apportionment.
Maybe I can help. Maybe I can help because this is a pretty routine item for
Yeah.
us. So I'm not sure why all the confusion.
I'll take my hand down.
So in the revenue that comes to the district, there's a portion of that comes from various sources. A good portion of it comes from the state, but there's a portion that is collected through local property taxes. So what this allows the district to do, the board allows the district to do, is to collect from the property taxes that we will be owed anyways. It's our money. We're collecting it early. There's provisions in the law that allows us to do this in this county to access that funding. As we get paid, and I think we've been through this before sometimes, that there are apportionments that come throughout the year, but they don't come always evenly throughout the year when the state funding comes. And so what a lot of districts do, and this isn't my first district that's done this, what a lot of districts do is they will borrow against this where this provision exists and utilize this money so that we do have good cash flow and we don't have to be concerned, and then pay the money back. What I heard Rosa say about negative interest, if I understand that correctly, Rosa, money that is invested is actually paying the interest that we would have had to pay on this anyways. So there's very little cost to us to access this money ahead of time. But as I mentioned, this is something we've done each year, I'm pretty sure, for the last several years, and certainly something that the district that I've served as superintendent in have also done as a way of getting through. And just so you also know that there have been years that we've had to do this also, not so much this year, but in previous years, because the state withheld allocations from us, or they would kick the can and say, well, we'll pay you your June allocation next August. That happened a lot in 2020. So this allows us to remain fluid. It's very, very routine. And so hopefully that helps to answer some questions.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mr. Spalding, Superintendent Spalding, for the explanation. There is a negative interest that we have to pay, and for the still confusion, the interest that we earn with our own money is being collected from there. Any interest that is negative, meaning that they're going to collect for the loan of our own money, is going to be collected against the interest that we earn with our own money. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's any other question about this constitutional advance or borrowing from our property taxes?
For those of you who may think about running for president of the board, I'd just like to let you know that if everything else goes down the hill, the president of the board has to come up and pay for it. Just kidding.
Okay. So, Dr. Young, go ahead.
Okay, maybe it's me, or maybe I'm a little touchy because I had to pay back my federal tax. But anyway, the property tax, that money is already designated for us. Is that correct? Okay. So if we tap into it and use it, why do we have to pay interest on that money that's already ours?
Let me explain to you. If the district were to be asking or requesting a loan from another entity, we will have to pay interest, higher interest rate. This constitutional advance is a provision that allows district to borrow from their own money, from the own estimated revenues for the upcoming years. So that means that we have the opportunity to have liquidity to continue operations.
Yeah, and the other option is something called a tax revenue anticipatory note. And that's where you actually take out a loan. Districts that use trans to get through the apportionment period of time, take out a loan from a bank, typically that's at a higher rate of interest than borrowing our own money. So, I mean, it's not our money now, it's our money later. But it kind of reminds me of that Popeye thing that Wimpy used to say, I'd gladly repay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. I've dated myself.
Yes, you have.
Now, it kind of reminds me also of you save all the money in the 405ks, and it's age 71. They tell you got to draw it down, and then you got to be charged interest on it.
Uh-huh.
So you can't win for losing.
We could have a whole seminar on the revenue and tax system in the state of California, but I'll keep it moving.
You can't win for losing. Go for it.
That's bitter news. Save that till later. Okay. Are there any other questions on the resolution? John, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution.
Thank
I'll
you.
second it.
Good. The motion has been made and second. Let's see, a roll call vote. And I'm not sure who I'm talking to. Ms. Thomas Armel, the roll call vote, please.
Okay, Trustee Ibaldi,
Aye.
Trustee Young,
Aye.
Trustee Fox,
Aye.
Vice President Gardner,
Aye.
and President Gross.
Aye. Thank you. So the motion to accept the resolution number 3012, Constitution Advance of Property Tax Revenues, has been unanimously accepted. Thank you. Moving, pardon? Oh, and moving on, information items. Superintendent, do we have any?
I have a short report. One thing that I wanted to catch the board up on is I recently, in fact, Rosa and I recently met with a team from FICMAT, and you'll recall that we are in receivership. We remain in receivership since 2004, and while we have a trustee as opposed to a state administrator, we remain in receivership until such time as we repay our state loan fully and we are released from receivership. And that's not automatically those don't automatically come together. There's some other procedures there. But what they wanted to do is come back. There's some new legislation that has a FICMAT team come back and meet with the receivership districts and the counties that oversee the receivership from these receivership districts to talk about how receivership is going and to determine if, kind of what our status is, what our progress is in repaying the loan, what our progress is in having good and healthy fiscal practices in place, what we expect to see in the future, what we expect to see at whatever time we are released from receivership. And so we had a very good talk, and the leader of that was a man by the name of Joel Montero, who used to be the executive director of FICMAT, and he had a lot of really interesting things to say. The county office folks met with him as well. Melazuka, our trustee, met with him, and they will have a report to us that I will share at a later date when we receive that report. I think overall, we were able to answer their questions well. I think they were able to observe that we've taken a number of good steps over the years and have engaged in healthy fiscal practices, and that the county has engaged in supportive oversight practices. So I expect to see that in their report. COVID restrictions, just wanted to update you on that. As you are aware, I think I mentioned this the last meeting, that we had lifted the mask mandate for our own district. We are still highly recommending the use of masks, but we had lifted it in all cases except for congregate settings. That we had, and we decided to wait a little bit on that. We didn't do it when everybody else. There was an announcement at the end of February, and everybody kind of decided that they would do that. We wanted to wait and see, kind of what our own numbers were in our own district and in the county, and what CDC had to say. But by the time March 12th rolled around, we had moved from the orange to the yellow, then to the green status with CDC, where CDC does not recommend universal mask wearing. And, our numbers had also come down quite a bit. We are continuing to monitor, numbers for us and for our region. As you're aware, we come back from a 2-week spring break on Monday. We distributed rapid antigen tests for self-testing to all staff and all students. And we have instructed everyone, we've asked them, please perform that antigen test over the weekend prior to coming back to school on Monday, which should tell us if anyone, for the people who have self-tested, should tell us, if there's anyone who's positive, should be staying home, but otherwise people could be coming back to school. So far, the trends seem to be still moving mostly in our favor. There's a little bit of concern about some uptick in some places with a newer variant of Omicron, but at the moment, things appear fairly optimistic. So I had a meeting with our administrators, our principals, just prior to spring break starting, and talked to them about things we could be looking at when we come back that would restore some of our more normal springtime events. And, things like field trips, things like open houses, those kinds of things. We're still going to monitor. We're still going to be cautious because we've been cautious, but I'm cautiously optimistic that we could see a relaxation of some of the remaining restrictions that we have and opportunities to live a more normal school existence in the spring. But we always, say that with a caveat that if the time comes, if there's a situation that we need to go back to masking, and bring back other restrictions, we'll do so if the situation requires it. Dr. Ubaldi, looked like you had your hand up.
Thank you, sir. I'm sure you read as much as I do, and maybe more, but I've noticed that state of California is just in great shape outside of San Francisco. Now, I'm concerned about that. We're just a neighbor. And so I appreciate you being alert and watching the numbers. But San Francisco is in bad shape. Thank you.
Thanks. The next item, I just wanted to, and a number of you were able to attend this, the CASA conference, which is the California Association of African American Superintendents and Administrators. And the highlight of that conference was the awarding of the African American Board Member of the Year, Dr. Latanya Young, our very own Dr. Young. And that was a wonderful evening. And the conference itself was really fantastic. It was a really great blend of very timely and relevant topics. Every workshop I went to was high quality, really, really top notch, with really good information, a lot of research. But there was also kind of a nice upbeat environment there as well. There's a lot of music in the background. People were in kind of a pretty joyous place. It was a really positive conference. I felt both rejuvenated and educated by going. So I really appreciated that, and looking forward to next year's conference. Finally, wanted to just update you on the strategic plan. The strategic plan moves forward. And I met yesterday with Abby Benedetto, who is one of our two facilitators. Shane Saphir is the other. And they have put together a PowerPoint presentation I'll be sharing with you very soon. We had to do some editing to it, but I want to share with you very soon, that shows really all the progress that's gone on until this point, all the efforts and the activities of the SPAC, the Strategic Planning Advisory Committee, and then from the 4 pillars that were identified by the board earlier, the kinds of items that showed up through the SPAC, from the conversations, from the work, the workshops that people did, from the data that talked about what are the kind of steps and what are the kind of actions that should, or the kind of tenets really that should emerge from each one of the major pillars. So it's starting to take shape. I was really, really impressed with what they were able to draw with. They did a lot of work going through their notes and going through, the conversations, really captured, a lot of the themes from the conversations that came from parents and administrators, teachers, staff, business leaders, community leaders, all that. So I felt really, really good yesterday after that meeting to really see that it's starting to take shape. It's starting to move forward. The next steps is, as I said, I'll be bringing that back to you so you can see, what's in there, and also that we would start to take up the items in the strategic plan of a mission statement, a vision statement, and core beliefs. But it's definitely progressing, and like I said, you'll see that very soon when I get a copy of the finalized PowerPoint, and then still more work to do, but it's coming together. That's my report for tonight.
Okay, thank you, Superintendent Spaulding, for your informative report. Next, we have a report from board members. So I'll start with Dr. Ubaldi, your report.
Thank you, President Gross. On the 18th of, I was supposed to be in attendance of VIBA on the 18th, but I was in a hospital and could not make that meeting. But my understanding is that they made me, or they elected me, or they appointed me chair of the membership committee. And on the 21st, I participated again with ABISMA board members. And then on the 23rd, I had a chance to meet with John Garamendi and requested that I develop a education advisory committee for his congressional district. And I'm sure I will be leaning on you folks to help me make that a successful committee and get the advisement from our superintendent. And also the same day, I attended the St. Vincent El Cerrito game here in Vallejo. On the 24th, I attended the FONSA meeting, and we talked about the ASB and the responsibility of our ASB staff. On the 26th, I attended the CSBA board meeting, 26th to the 30th, I think, the 28th. And we heard the concern about the narrative of grants and how to address and how the money is spent, that the government will be looking at that very closely. And I'm glad that we have an excellent CBO to help us hold ourselves accountable to that. There was a refinement on the priorities that the school board took, and the priorities for the California School Board Association are the following. Number one, a successful statewide public education system, or effective education for all public school students. The priority number two is membership training. Priority number three is grassroots advocacy. And they're going to be asking more and more of us, the school district trustees, to become more active in advocacy for all of our public education in the state of California. And the fourth one, priority is excellence in association leadership. Okay, I have that. Let me see what else. There was then the other one is the legislative initiative, which is, I hope you have the right time for that, but that sounds like an excellent time and an appropriate time. Chaos, change, and opportunity. And then we spent time on discussing transportation costs, and there's some concern among the trustees that the demand for electric may be a challenge for other part of the country that that needs to be known. We're not a flat cities or suburbans or rural, and many of them think that electric transportation would be perfect, but it is not. It's going to be a challenging. We talked about the declining enrollment that's up and down the state. That's all over the United States, and And then the positive thing is the budget that there will be money coming from the federal government, $9 billion will be divided among the special ed and the challenge learning. And so that is it. I think that's all I have on the CSBA. And then the one that the superintendent mentioned, CASA, I was thrilled to have been there and root for our colleague, and which is well deserved. And we're grateful that you were honored, Dr. Young, and showed the strength and visibility of VCUSD Board of Education. And then on April the 1st, what did I have? Oh, April the 1st, I attended my in-person first and NCS CIF meeting. And that's the North Coast section of our CIF. And what a powerful group. Mostly athletic directors and superintendents and principals. And boy, the bright people. So I was very humbled they've been present there, and the care that they have for our athletics. And there's I brought where is that? I brought a chart of a survey that our athletic director is supposed to take, and I made an appointment with Superintendent Spalding to help process this questionnaire, and Dr. Santos responded on behalf of the superintendent for help me talk with our athletic directors, because the purpose of it is for the realignment or alignment of the district. I mean the section, and I'd like to sit in on how they do that and learn from our athletic director, and hopefully we'll hear some other challenges that I may need to be prepared as a member of the NCS CIF. And then I attended a webinar sponsored by CLEAR, and it has to do with math, because this is the discussion taking place up and down the state now. And I like the program that they have, and I forgot the program's name, but I will discuss this or present it to the superintendent to see if we're using it. But it's something that makes a lot of sense for me, because I wasn't good in math, but the presentation that they showed was very, very helpful. And so I will mention it to our superintendent for him to pick up on. And then the last item is the delegate assembly is May 21st, and I also want to congratulate our newly elected delegate assembly, Mr. Groves, to be a member of that. And at the same time, since he and I are both member of Viva, the first day we will be there, we'll be coming back home to be part of the fundraising for Viva. So then we have to go back to our hotel the same evening. So just want to let you know, Mr. Groves, President Groves, that we will be very active and busy that day. That is my report, sir. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Dr. Ebal. And yes, I was aware of the trouble of the travels we would have then. Thank you. Next, Dr. Young, your report.
First, I'd like to thank each one that came to support me when I received my award. My VCUSD family, I was so proud of them. It showed up in numbers, and that made me feel really, really, really special. I was part of the planning of the statewide professional development summit for CASA, and this year our theme was an equitable approach to aligning education and health for the success of African American and other students of color. If you want an experience, I'm going to suggest that our board next year attends that conference. That is one of the our conference is a diversified experience of all the high points delivered by some of the top rated Black educators and other educators in the field. So, as I said, we had a wonderful conference. It was well attended. We had over 800 people. And then we had the virtual, which was about 350 to complement it for those that did not want to do. But it was just wonderful to talk to people, to basically think that I'm normal. Which after I walked away, I said, well, yeah, I am kind of normal. But anyway, thank you so much to my VCUSD family, Superintendent Spalding, and for those that did not attend on my Trustee Fox and Trustee Gardner, I know you were there in spirit. I know you were. So don't worry, next year I'll get you there in person. Thank you.
Mr. President, if I may, I think in the spirit of the CASA meeting, I think we really ought to thank Superintendent Spalding for allowing his staff to be there and to have that honor one of our trustees. I think that shows me how much you support your trustee and the fact that they were there to support her. And I was very overwhelmed and thankful that you would encourage your staff to be there on behalf of one of our trustees. Thank you.
And
Thank you, but I got a lot of help from people in the office and among my cabinet that also were able to round people up. So the credit should be spread around.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, and thank you all. Next, Trustee Fox, your report.
Okay, from my report, Monday, March 21st, I attended the County School Board Association, which I'm a member of, and we discussed that we're encouraging our local boards to continue the discussions of equity and to just make sure we continue with our equity statement and having opportunities to talk about and find equity gaps within our district. I'll remind you that we did the equity gap example of graduation rates during our last meeting, one of our meetings. So that's just one example. And we can use the guiding questions to help us determining the gap and where to go from the gaps. Also, it's encouraged that our local districts also perhaps do student forums where they can hear and have equity questions, like a fishbowl, and invite students and hear from our own students in our own districts of equity issues going on. They even suggested late elementary, middle school, and high school, but to start at one level and just try to get familiar with the process and listen to student voice regarding equity. Then the other issue that the county we're thinking of doing is we want to explore SEL, social emotional learning topics, and what's going on with that within our districts and in our county. So that's one direction we're thinking of going forward in as well, including the equity. Then I attended the Central Democrats Association meeting. We had our endorsement meeting, and the endorsements were for county district attorney and then also for county supervisors. I'm trying to think. I think that was pretty much it for the endorsement meetings we held at our last meeting. And I think that's it from our report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Fox. Next, Trustee Gardner.
Okay, I'll keep mine pretty short. Unfortunately, I did not attend Dr. Young's event, and it was my daughter's birthday, so we already had plans, and I was really hoping that it would have been earlier in the day, but it wasn't. So my congratulations continue to go to Dr. Young. It's quite an accomplishment. On March 18th, I did have the opportunity, along with Mr. Gross, or President Gross, to go to Stephen Manor Elementary School, and we had a tour of the school. The school was spotless. The kids were well behaved. I was very proud to be a trustee in Vallejo City Unified School District. It was a great visit. We went into a classroom and looked at the fish project that they have with these little bitty fingerling fish, and we had one of the students gave us an overview of the program, a very bright young man. So it was a very, very nice visit to the school site. On the 28th of March, I did meet with our new communications director, Selena Bagway. And that was a very insightful discussion that the two very much looking forward to what she can do with our state of communication in the district. I think that she's bringing some really good ideas, and I'm very much looking forward to her continued input into the communication cycle within VCUSD. So that is the conclusion of my report. And back to you, President Gross.
Thank you, Vice President Gardner. You know, she always trumps me, so really I don't have any report. She already said everything. I also met with Selena, our PIO, Public Information Officer, and I think she will be a real breath of fresh air for the district. I was very highly pleased to meet her, to know her, to talk to her, and I'm just very happy that she's here with us to help us along in our struggle. Like I said, Trustee Gardner said everything that we did, so I wanted to belabor that. But I also made a couple of visits to a couple of more elementary schools, one being Pennycook and the other being Glen Cove. And kind of the same thing we saw at Stephen, people busy doing what they need to, educating kids. Schools spotless, bathrooms spotless. And as an old principal of elementary and high school, believe me, those are the areas that we look at real quickly and real closely. So I'm looking at our schools, and I'm very pleased with the upkeep and what's going on in the classrooms, which is the most important thing. So I was really, really very happy with the things that I have seen in the last couple of weeks. So with that is my report. And thank you, trustees, for giving us all that information. Next, we have community forum, and we do not need that. I'm sorry, do we have any information about community forum? None?
No information.
Okay, and closed session is not needed. Announcements of upcoming meetings. Trustees, do you have any announcements for any meetings that are coming? I know, Dr. Ubaldi, you had a few. Did you want to? Are there any other announcements of meetings that are pertinent to us?
We have a regular board meeting on April 20th. And I think a number of people will probably be attending the Solano County Board of Education meeting on April 13th, which will be held at 6 o'clock at the Suisun City Hall. And this will be a final hearing and decision by the county board on the appeal, the caliber appeal of this board's denial of their charter petition.
Okay. Thank you for that information. Any others? If not, then we're going to future board agenda items. Do we have any future board agenda items?
Is there a meeting on the 28th, Thursday, April 28th?
There may be. I'll get back to you all on that.
It's scheduled. It is scheduled though.
It's not. No, it's not scheduled at this time. But
okay,
I'll
good.
get back to you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, again, any future board agenda items from any of the trustees? None. I do have,
Mr. President, are you talking about the 27th or the 28th?
the 28th was,
Yeah.
At this time, there's no board meeting scheduled that week. There may be a need to, but I will get back to you later on that.
But that's a Thursday.
That's correct. Like I said, I'll have more detail later.
All right, thank you.
our next scheduled meeting is on the 20th.
That's correct.
Will that be virtual?
As of now, yes, we have the AB 361 resolution still in place for the remainder of April.
So, and with that, I'll go with any other further board agenda items. Trustee Gardner, go ahead.
I think I mentioned this last time. Do we have anything scheduled for the board to get together to talk about to look at our vision and mission statements? And kind of redo those or look at those? I know that we wanted to do that for the strategic plan.
I was planning on bringing that at future board meetings. Probably one thing at a time.
Okay. Okay.
And the only other thing I would say is I would like for us to bring up the Civic Center Act resolution. Remember back in June of 2020, boy, time flies. Back of June of 2020, we voted to suspend that act as a board. And what that did is that closed facilities for public use throughout the district. So I would like for us to revisit that so we can get these facilities get them open and have our community again enjoy our facilities with the district procedures in place. Other than that, any other information? Any other items?
Please note the time.
It's well noted, Dr. Ubaldi. And I'll say the time is 5:55, and at this time, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
5:51. Thank you.
This is a historical moment, I want you to know.
5:51, not 5:50.